All right, we're getting ready for the retake. So this was our original review. We are now going to redo it for our retake. All right, let's go over. You've got a lot of formulas to use. A lot of circles on here also. So let's take a look at the formulas. We've got to memorize those. Area of a circle is pi times radius times itself. That's what squared means. The radius is only half of the diameter. Do not use the whole thing across the whole circle. That's not what we want. That's only for circumference over here. All right, so we have this formula for circles and this one. All right, we're going to use 3.14 for pi. The radius is half the diameter. For the circumference, you use the whole distance across the circle. All right, for area of a rectangle, we just do base times height. There it is, nice and easy. Base times height, okay? That's for area. For area of a triangle, the part people miss is the half. It's the same thing as a rectangle, except now times a half. Do not leave the half out. If you see a triangle, get that half in there. And then last, we have trapezoid. With a trapezoid, we have two bases, a top and a bottom, right? So we're going to average them. We add them together and divide by 2. And then we multiply by the height. So if you need to make some little note cards to practice those and get those down, do it. That's what it takes. So number 1, we're going to find the circumference and area. Look, here it is. Circumference is pi times diameter. That's double the radius. See my note right there? So instead of 5, it's a 10. For the area, it's pi times the radius squared. That's not 5 times 2. It's 5 times 5, which is 25. Okay? And I put approximately because pi goes on forever. It's irrational, so we're approximately. All right, find the area of the following polygons. So, what's the formula for a triangle? You better include, look up above, it's 1/2 base times height. Parallelogram is base times height. And trapezoid, look, we have 2 bases, so we need to average them, right? Then times it by the height. Let's see if we got it. Look at that. Once you get the right formula, you just plug in the numbers. On the first one, do not use this 5. That is not how tall or high that triangle is. That is not our height. All right, for the parallelogram, this slanted height, we do not use it. We just use 15 times 9. For the trapezoid, we do not use the slanted heights of 7 and 5. So take those out when you're doing the problem. All right, let's look at the next ones. Now, we're going to use all those together. Most everyone got this kind of problem, right? You can cut them into 2 rectangles. You even could have gone this direction, but just for this problem, I cut it the other way. Now, some people mess up. Be careful. It's not a 5 by 6. We're not using this number because we've only cut it off to here, right? See how I cut it off there? So it's not a 5 by 6. We use this 3. Watch out when you're cutting into shapes. You've got to see which measurement you're using now. Same with this little one. Some people did, a 2 by 6. That is not 2 by 6. We're only going 2 by, look at this. Look, it's not as long anymore. It's a 2 by 3. So check your dimensions when you start cutting shapes. All right, the most missed problem or part of this was right here. People forgot the half. Doesn't this look like just half a circle? This is not a whole circle, it's a half circle. So you're going to use the formula for a circle, but multiply it by 1/2 or 0.5. See how I've got that in here each time? Half every time. Otherwise, you're going to get the wrong answer. All right, let's look at this one. Once again, we are cutting the shape into 2 parts. which will change our dimensions. All right, this is not a 9 by 6. No, 9 is this whole thing, right? From here to here, this whole length is 9. We only want this part. So your brain's going to need to look around and say, oh, wait, from here to here, it's 5. Oh, that means if the whole thing is 9, this part is 4. So do some thinking when you cut shapes into parts. That's where most people missed it. And then they also left off the half because the area of a triangle is half the base times height. So they're just like getting the details down. You did great. We just forgot some important parts. All right, number 4. Here, I should fix this. This is a 6. 7, 3.97, I'm guessing. All right, number 4 says find the radius and diameter of a circle if they give us, oh, look what they gave us. They gave us the circumference. So let's use the circumference formula right here. There it is. And then we're going to fill in what they gave us. We know that pi is 3.14. And then we know that the circumference is 109.9. Right? So all we're going to do right here is isolate the letter D. We're going to solve for D. So if you look at the work over here, we just divide by 3.14. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Isn't that going to tell us what D equals? Yeah. The diameter is 35, but they did also ask for the radius, so make sure you cut that in half for 17.5. All right, spiral review. You're going to see this on the test. This is important. These angles are across from each other. Do you see that I said, oh yeah, they're vertical. Vertical angles are equal or congruent. Set them equal. It's an equation. Do opposite operation to get x equals 60. B does not have an equal sign. That's an expression we're going to distribute, and then you just combine like terms. Yeah, that's it. C, we do PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. P, we don't have any parentheses, so we're going to do E, exponent first. 10 times 10 is 100. You still have the minus sign. Ooh, and then we better do division comes before addition and subtraction. 30 divided by 3 is 10. That's how you do C. D, turn it into, look, this word is means equals. Of means multiply. So just write it. 21.3 equals what? We always use a variable for what? Percent of, so multiply by 60. Gets x by itself. Divide both sides by 60. You're going to get a decimal, and they ask for a percent, so just turn it into a percent. Factor, you need to pull out the greatest common factor. 8 goes into this and to this term. If you factor out an 8, you're left with, put up parentheses, an x minus, and 8 goes into 32 4 times. If you want to check it, just distribute again. 8 times x is 8x. 8 times a negative 4 is negative 32. Isn't that what you started with? Yeah, you did it. Practice these. Go over the ones you had trouble with. Print up a new copy. Do it a second time.